The world trembles. It is the only constant, a slow, rhythmic tremor that travels up from the soles of the feet and settles deep in the bones. For the Sky Minus Rider clan, this is the feeling of home. Their world is the broad, moss-minus-covered back of an Argentinosaurus, a living island of furrowed skin and ancient flesh moving in a slow, inexorable river of giants. From their perch on the high plateau of the beast's shoulder blade, the ground is a distant, lethal obstruction. Tail, the clan's eldest, watches it float by, and tastes the air, a skill more vital than sight. It is changing. The dry, dusty scent of the plains is giving way to the damp, green smell of the great delta. The low, resonant hum of the herd, a sound that has lulled generations to sleep, is fraying at the edges. He points a finger gnarled by a lifetime of gripping vine and bone. The great father turns. He says, his voice a dry rust. Below, the colossal lead bull of the herd, its neck a sith against the horizon, is veering south, leading the strongest toward the deeper crossing. But their beast, old Scar, does not follow. They do. Shuddering groan echoes through its body. A sound of protest felt in the very bedrock of the clan's small, precarious camp. Its pace slows. The symbiosis is failing. For seasons, the clan has tended the great beast, cleaning parasites from its hide for sustenance and warning it of predators with sharp calls. In return, they received safety and passage. But old Scar is old. Its hide, once a thriving ecosystem of moss and fern, grows thin and flaky. The deep wounds that give it its name weep a fluid that kills the life minus giving growth. It is a dying world, and it is falling behind. The others feel it too. Lyra, her face taut with worry, clutches the child at her hip and stares across the widening expanse of air. Another sauropod, younger and stronger. Its back a lush tapestry of green, moves parallel to them, but it is already a stone's throw away. Soon, that throw will become impossible. The sundering has begun. This is the great and terrible tax of their existence, the moment that defines the life of these human ancestors. They do not own the earth. They borrow a piece of it, and the lease is always temporary. High above, almost lost in the glare of the sun, dark specks circle on currents of warm air. They are patient. They always are. Kale sees them and his lips pull back in a grimace. The Sky Minus serpents, Quetzalcoatlus. They know the signs of a fracturing herd, of a weak or isolated beast. They are the heralds of the clan's most feared ordeal. The leap. He turns to the camp. The time for observation is over. The time for preparation, for the terrible calculus of survival in this era of prehistoric life, has come. There is no debate, no counsel. The knowledge is instinct, etched into their very being by 1,000 generations of this perilous life. Their community moves with the fluid certainty of a hunting pack. The clan's strongest members, led by a young man named Gor, uncoil the Lifeline, their most sacred and vital piece of primitive technology. It is a massive rope, thicker than a man's arm, woven from countless strands of iron-5, treated with sap for strength and grip, but its head is the anchor. The sharpened hip bone of a gallimimus, lashed with gut to a heavy, fire-hardened wooden crosspiece designed to snag on the tough, scaly osteoderms of a sauropod's hide. This desperate tool is the bedrock of their hominid history, the one invention that allows their unique civilization to exist. The gap is a chasm now, a terrifying void of open air. The wind howls through it, a mournful song of death. Old Scar groans again, a low, guttural vibration that speaks of its final journey. The younger, healthier beast they target, the new world, strides on, oblivious, its movements creating a complex, swaying target. Gor stands at the precipice, the coiled mass of the Lifeline at his feet. He plants his stance, muscles cording in his back and shoulders. He and two others begin to swing the anchor, a pendulum of hope against the yawning emptiness. One swing, two, on the third, with a unified roar that is both prayer and war cry, they release it. The anchor soars, a pale speck against the distant ground, the vine unspooling behind it with a furious hiss. For a heartbeat, it seems to fall short. Then, with a faint, satisfying thud that no one hears but everyone feels, it catches, digging into the thick hide just behind the New World's shoulder. Cheered eyes in their throats. The sky minus serpents have seen their chance. The circling specks resolve into monstrous forms. The Quetzalcoatlus, with its wingspan wider than any three men standing shoulder to shoulder, begins its descent. Its shadow is a swift, cold eclipse that sweeps over the clan. A young woman, Dilara, the lightest and swiftest, is already on the line. She doesn't hesitate, launching herself into the void. Her hands and feet a blur as she scrambles across the swaying bridge. She's the key. She must secure the anchor before the beast's movement can shake it loose. Below her, the earth is a dizzying, fatal drop. Above, the sky is falling. The first of the pterosaurs dives, not at Dilara, but at the anchor point on Old Scar's back. Its spear minus light became to sever their connection. Cade and the others are ready. They are the defenders. With desperate shouts, they hurl stones and sharpen fire minus sticks. It is a pitiful defense against such a monster. The desperation of ants against an eagle, but it is all they have. The creature shrieks, an unholy sound of scraping metal, and veers off. Its attack thwarted for a moment, but a second one is already peeling from the sky. Its target clear, this small, vulnerable form of the Homo sapiens dangling over oblivion. The second sky minus serpent ignores the stones. It folds its immense wings, transforming from a soaring monarch into a leathery javelin of bone and hunger. Its target is Dilara, a fragile morsel on a thread. She flattens herself against the lifeline, making herself as small as possible, a futile gesture against a creature that can swallow a goat whole. From the precipice of Old Scar, Kale watches the geometry of doom unfold. There is no time. The stones are useless. A wail of despair rises from the clan. But Gor does not wail. He moves. With the same explosive power he used to throw the anchor, he snatches up a long, sharpened pole, part of their dismantled shelter, and runs to the edge. He doesn't throw it. He holds it, as the Quetzalcoatlus dives past. Its horrifying, toothless beak agape. Gor rams the sharpened pole upward, into the soft membrane of its throat. For a moment, predator and prey are joined in a grotesque blow. The beast's shriek is pure agony, a sound that rips the air. Its momentum carries it forward, and it carries Gor with it. He is plucked from the edge of their world, his feet leaving the moss miners covered hide for the last time. He does not scream. He holds on, a final, defiant act of altruism, a human anchor weighing down the sky minus demon. The creature thrashes, trying to dislodge the source of its pain, and in doing so, its attack on Dilara is forgotten. It spirals away into the vast emptiness. A monster locked in a death dance with the man who has doomed them both. That is the gift of seconds Gor buys. Dilara scrambles, her terror fueling her speed. She reaches the new world, her hands raw and bleeding, and throws herself onto the solid, trembling flesh. She secures the anchor, ramming it deeper into a crevice of scale. Cross, she screams, her voice thin against the wind. Now! And they go, one by one. Then in a desperate, tangled rush, the clan throws itself onto the lifeline. A mother pushes her child ahead, her own body shielding it from the circling flock above. An old man loses his grip and is gone, a silent offering to the abyss. They do not look back. They do not look down. They look only at the lush green of the new sauropod's back, a promise of continuity. Kale is the last to cross. As he pulls himself onto the new shore of skin and moss, Lyra hands him a sharpened flint. With a single, heavy slice, he cuts the lifeline. It snakes away, falling into the sky, severing them forever from Old Scar, from their history, from Gor. Their entire world is now this small band of shivering survivors on a scab of earth on a new, moving god. This terrible crossing will be carved into their oral tradition, a brutal lesson in the unceasingly harsh prehistoric world that shapes their hominid history. The camera of the mind pulls back, and back further still. The herd of titans is a slow-moving river of grey flesh carving its way through a continent untouched by ice. On the back of one of these behemoths, a tiny, almost invisible flicker of orange appears as the sky-minus riders coax a new fire to life. Their loss is immense, a wound in the soul of their community. But they survived. They adapted. They made a choice born of intelligence and sacrifice, executing a plan that required courage on a scale as vast as the beasts they ride. This single, desperate act of throwing a vine across a chasm of death is a microcosm of the entire human story. It is the story of our species' audacious refusal to accept its place. These ancient humans were not content to be prey-cowering in caves. They looked at the walking mountains that ruled the earth, and with nothing but their minds, their homes, and their fellowship, they found a way to climb them. What is human ingenuity if not the desperate weaving of a vine rope? What are our great migrations, our voyages across oceans and into space, if not the echo of that first, terrifying leap of faith from one dying world to a new, uncertain one? Their struggle is the blueprint. Their survival skills were the genesis of our own. The fire they kindle on the back of a god is the same fire that now burns in the heart of our cities, a testament to the fact that the most fragile creature in this brutal world could become its inheritor, not through strength of claw or thickness of hide, but through the sheer, stubborn audacity of its will. For in the chronicle of survival, the first chapter is not written in stone, but in the thin, trembling line between one world and the next. But in the shadows of the Great Delta, something new is learning to hunt the giants themselves.